Japan's massive holdings of US Treasury bonds are one example of how deeply interconnected the global debt structure has become. America finances parts of the world through the IMF. Europe lends through the World Bank. Meanwhile, developing nations recycle their reserves back into Western debt markets by buying government bonds. The global financial system has become a vast loop of interconnected lending. The world economy now runs on interconnected promises. Governments owe money to institutions that themselves rely on debt issued elsewhere. Every IOU is tied to another IOU. Every player at the table owes someone else. And the game continues only because no one dares flip the table over. But behind the governments, behind the banks, there is another force shaping everything: the financial markets. Every government bond is backed by an invisible financial empire: hedge funds, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and central banks managing unimaginable sums of money. These institutions now decide who can borrow, at what cost, and for how long. They decide which nations can borrow at low cost and which must pay a premium simply to survive. And when confidence disappears, currencies can collapse, governments can fall, and entire economies can be reshaped almost overnight. Democracy may decide who governs, but the markets often decide who survives. And standing at the center of this system is the modern high priest of finance, the central bank. Central banks no longer merely manage debt, they create the conditions for its expansion. With every bond purchase, central banks expand the financial system itself. Government debt moves onto one balance sheet while newly created money appears on another, keeping the machinery of modern finance alive. Modern money is born from debt. Every dollar that enters the economy exists because someone, somewhere, borrowed it into existence. Behind every bill and digital transaction lies a promise to repay. The global debt system endures because people still believe in it. Investors continue buying bonds, governments continue borrowing, and markets continue functioning, all built on faith that the promises will hold. But when that faith weakens, the consequences can be devastating. When Greece's debt crisis erupted in 2010, confidence vanished almost overnight. Bondholders fled, borrowing costs exploded, and the country stood on the edge of financial collapse. International lenders intervened, but their bailout demanded deep austerity measures that reshaped Greek society. The consequences of collapsing confidence were not abstract, they were human. Greece faced austerity, Argentina endured repeated defaults, and Sri Lanka descended into shortages and unrest when its financial system could no longer sustain its debts. In moments of crisis, the hidden architecture of power becomes visible. The IMF arrives with conditions, rating agencies downgrade economies, and bondholders demand repayment. Hit and subscribe and like for Part 3.